Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Spar and Brawl. I hope you're having a decent day. As always, I'm joined by my co-host Sam. We're back with episode 4 of the Four Corners of Geopolitics. So you can find timestamps down below, and please like and subscribe. However, we're going to promise not to go overboard like last time. We got carried away. Sam had done way too much research, so narrowed it down to just a few stories this time. So it will hopefully be around an hour and a half this video, but you never know. So first, we're going to start off with a casual talk about different stories happening around the world, including a major earthquake that hit Afghanistan on Wednesday, the elections in France and Colombia, and some other smaller stories. Then we're going to move on to this great article by Trita Parsi on really Biden's real reason on going, to Israel and to Saudi and what he hopes to achieve there. And I think what he writes, are stuff that you don't hear about too much, which is he's pretty much, according to Trita's article, he wants to expand on the accords and the agreements that Trump had managed to seal at the end of his presidential run. Finish off with a few stories related to Iran. Anything you want to add there, Sam? Or
not really, no.
Okay, all right, folks. With timestamps down below, please like and subscribe, and let's get this started, Sam. This earthquake in Afghanistan, huh? Pretty serious. I mean, at time of recording now, Thursday, they're saying, BBC saying that possibly 1,000 people have died in a disaster and many children feared dead. So it's a big one, huh?
Yeah, 1,000 people dead as of last night at least, and 1,500 injured. But yeah, I don't even know what was the scale.
At 6.1.
6.1. Okay, but yeah, BBC Persia is doing a live thing, and it's pretty bad. I mean, it's as if Afghanistan didn't have to deal with enough.
Yeah,
it's just another added thing. But yeah, so a lot of fucked up pictures and that type of thing.
And yeah, now I wonder, and now the whole thing also, I mean, I wonder how humanitarian aid, how that can be served now, given, everything that's changed with the Taliban, how they work with them. So that's like an extra layer of, I mean, at the very least, I think you could say, like, if it happened during the US time there would have been like humanitarian things that would be flooding into the country. But
I mean, look, it's in a relatively remote area south of Kabul. So I don't know who control that area anyway. So who knows?
But I mean, just in general, right? I mean, I don't know, like getting stuff in Afghanistan now, or international organizations working in Afghanistan. I don't know what it's like nowadays.
Sure. But then it was like a war as well. So
yeah. But
I mean, look, I'm not like conditions differ. I'm just saying, I don't know what is worse, war or like, sanctions, or I don't know.
Or all.
Or all, yeah. It could be all.
Yeah. I mean, they're still fighting there. It's not like there isn't any more fighting, but it's just like it's not with the Americans, or at least not directly.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. In other
sorry, just made me think. We'll just move on. But it's fascinating. I mean, not that we go around following Afghanistan stories, but like it doesn't even need to.
You're not stalking Afghanistan.
Yeah,
okay?
But
we distance ourselves from Afghanistan. We're thinking about other countries now. We know there is plenty of countries out there. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I'm just saying, like, 9 months later, and there's no, like, the US administration or none of like the big Western countries like UK and stuff who are so concerned. Do they like come out and say anything anymore about the situation or what should be done? You don't hear much. Like I said, it's not like that I go and follow for every piece of news, but
I mean, look, the foreign spokesperson and that State Department's spokesperson, they do say stuff that we are worried about the situation, but we are like the funds we cannot allow the funds to go through right now because blah blah blah. So they say the usual stuff, but the media is not really that interested in it, and neither are politicians. So yeah, it's not the same level of, but they do say the standard, they issue the standard statements.
You're right. And yeah, and the media isn't interested in it whatsoever, which It's just another
And people
indicator.
aren't, frankly, either,
Exactly, which
so.
is another indicator that, of course, like out of everything that's gonna affect Biden's like, re-election, Afghanistan might be, number 99 on the list, most
Yeah,
likely.
I think so. Yeah, everywhere. It's local issues always.
Yeah, I know for
As
sure.
James Carville, the monstrous orc, used to say, it's economy stupid usually. So.
Absolutely right. But yeah, let's continue. Let's move on from Afghanistan. I guess if
So
there's no other
another
details to
country,
share.
we've been allegedly stuck in, Myanmar. Aung San Suu Kyi moved to solitary confinement, says Myanmar junta. Ousted leader held at a secret location for past year, charged with at least 20 offenses and could spend rest of life in jail. She's just she's a story of, I think, if the why her story, I guess, is satisfying to me is because this is what would have happened in Democrats if they didn't live in America, or or like labor like Keir Starmer people, if they didn't live in this, if they didn't live in with such a surplus of money, which basically allows them to avoid violence. This is like what would have happened to them after
So the
Trump
Republicans would have just put them in jail.
man. Yeah, man. If Republicans had and in 10 years or so, I'm just saying, DeSantis, you never know. But I'm just saying, it's so funny that she had this sort of like, in the West, they used to revere her. They made this movie about her, and oh, this lady of writing and blah blah. And then she went into the power, and immediately the government has started committing a genocide against Muslims. She basically went, genocide, there's terrorists, I believe. Some of them are terrorists, I think. But and all that. And then the same military put her in jail, partially for that. Partially, she like one of her 20 offenses. I don't know what it is, but
no,
anyway.
That had ruined her image a bit. But yeah, I don't think the military used that exactly. I mean, they didn't need to, but that had tarnished her image, though. That also limited the Western and international community's ability.
Democrats' ability
to say something. No, the Rohingya thing did tarnish her very quickly, because it happened like 2 years into her arrival, and then next thing there's this huge mobilization over like helping out these people fleeing Myanmar, and it's not like she didn't position herself as being against what is going on there, right? Not at all. So
no. And some people say she was forced to defend the military junta, which is like, that's not that's relatively a relaxed position compared to other things people are forced to do. And I just think, though, Hillary Clinton, that would have happened to Hillary Clinton if Trump didn't had to do things to actually get her. You know what I mean? He would have, if he had the chance, he would have. So it's just the Hillary Clinton of Asia.
But Hillary Clinton is such a twisted character that, I mean, I think if it was in that kind of world, she would be on the other side. Like, she would be on the Republic. I don't know that much about her. Junta? Man, like Hillary Clinton to me is one of like the scarier politicians I have seen on TV. Because, I mean, honestly, like, we talk about how, it doesn't even matter who's president when it comes to geopolitics and foreign policy and all this. However, I don't know how Hillary would have acted with the whole Russia and Ukraine thing. She's much more energized than Biden. She's much more, she like constantly tries to make more of a name for herself. She's like more ambitious in her own objectives and all this. So, I mean, I think things could have potentially been a little bit worse if she was in power.
I don't know. I really don't know, because she's, as you say, she's more energetic and stuff. She would have been a bit more, I don't know, proactive on some of the domestic stuff as well.
But what about Ukraine? Time, I was thinking,
exactly,
some hawkish stuff there. I mean, not that she can do anything.
But at the same time, she was the one who did the whole years ago when she was the foreign she was the state secretary for Obama. She did the whole reset button, and they brought a button, literal button with Lavrov, and the relationships with Russia are good now. And then
That's true. But she's also the one who, like, went to Libya and said,
she's also
we came and we saw, we conquered or something.
like that. We came, we saw, he died.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, she's, yeah, I mean, look, yeah, she's like some of the times whenever she does give a quite a, yeah, she's could be dangerous. She's an insecure sort of dictator type vibe, which is more dangerous than a sort of a secure dictator, because it's like, I'm gonna fuck you over. So yeah, I know what you mean, but
so I think she would have switched sides in that scenario of yours, but then maybe gone and killed somewhere while switching sides.
Just stabbed somebody. Maybe Aung Suu, whatever, is the Nancy Pelosi of the, I guess she's not as capable of Hillary. She's too like drunk or something to actually, or Dianne Feinstein. I don't know, or I'm trying to female Republican. We don't have a female Republican that is like Bulwark. We have Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene, but they're more into the sort of psycho wing of the.
They're just in the nut job way.
They're just in the heavily medicated caucus, as it is now. Like so I'm trying to think of old, what I mean, like there is none. I can't think.
Man, but things, I mean, you joked about like in 10 years, Republicans, maybe they'll be to do that. And, like, I think the theme of everything that I've said in the past 6 months is like, I hate when people think that this current period is so special, like, it's always the same and stuff like that. However, I don't know, man, the next few years in the US or the next decade and stuff might have a bit of uniqueness compared to previous periods in store.
I don't mean when we say, at least when I say it's not as special, I don't mean it's flat. I mean it's cyclical. And right now, everybody's getting a strong 1970s vibes right now with the recession and like late 1970s when the conservative backlash just suddenly went full on mental. So I think, I mean, not that I think there will be a big sort of a, they just like Roe versus Wade, they might just, another law is gone, then another law, then, and then if, by the way, Democrats not going to get elected, I don't think they will. Left is not going to get elected. So it's not going to even be part of the discussion because, if nobody in media or politics is representing certain views, then Republicans can just go, what I mean? It's not going to be part of a discussion, really,
Yeah, complete sideline. But that would then it's so perfect for the Democrats because then they can just do the typical thing that politicians and politics are really good at, which is let's get together in order to get back into power. And that's something, that seems to be, a way that's easier. I mean, I think someone was saying that was it for the French case or something? They were saying, when they were all like French election we'll talk about right now, when they're all like unified. I don't know who, or like maybe I'm just saying it. When they're all unified for just like, beating the right or making it into the office and stuff, it's like easy to unify, but then all the differences come out. So I guess if Democrats, maybe if they get so sidelined, then maybe, they'll like listen to like more leftist people a little bit more, all of this, just in order to get back into the White House through, some kind of Obama style person.
I would have thought that years ago, maybe after 2016, I really thought that, and in their rhetoric, you saw a bit of that. You saw Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg early on. They said they are supportive of Medicare or all, but then everything sort of shift. Like it's just all the things Chuck Schumer said about 2016 and how they're gonna focus, they're gonna win over suburbs and all that. All of that, which everybody made fun of him for, sort of happened with Biden.
Mhm.
And they seem to be quite happy with that. And you see with Roe versus Wade, sort of, they're as, we had a great interview with probably the nicest man on earth, I would say.
Mhm.
And, as RJ Isco pointed out, like, at the same time they were campaigning for somebody who was pro banning abortion and so I would have thought, I hope that's the case. I hope in, for example, upcoming midterms they lose so badly that then Biden is jolted into doing something progressive. But it does feel like, like if it Lyndon Johnson, who passed a lot of progressive stuff, but he wasn't probably a very progressive person. There was institutional left. There is no institution in America, it seems. Like
No
there is
institutional left,
in France,
right? Yeah.
in France, or even in the UK with the rail strikes, there is this institution. They have representatives. There is a guy who goes on TV. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I don't. In the US, Bernie had a chance to create that. I think he fucked it up. But what's the organization? DSA or
exactly? I mean, they don't even. But I mean, like, we're not even making fun of DSA. I don't think even DSA pretends that they're like a national one. I mean,
aren't they? I thought socialists.
Yeah, I guess they are. I mean, you hear a lot about them, about New York, maybe other places they're also active. But yeah, I mean, there are no major, right? Like, there is no representation, even a weak representation of anything to the left of the Democratic Party at a national level.
I mean, there is those labor union leaders they brought on the Hill a couple of times from the flight hostess. Flight
attendants,
union, and or that type of thing. But and I think I mean, this is partially goes back to laws in the US or quite. I recently, like a year ago, when was it? We had that comment about, I didn't know solidarity strikes are not allowed in US is really like not worker like it's just unbelievable. So, like like it's very hard to like it's no there is no institution. Laws are very anti-unions and anti-worker, I guess. So I don't know. So that's why I'm a bit suspicious of that's why I think in the next 10 years or so we might see, just like Reagan era, another sort of a 15-year, or Thatcher, and 20-year sort of a
no, you're right. I mean, unless they they lose this midterm and then they lose the next election, then the Democrats might have to become so desperate to like some kind of wishy-washy thing in order to just get back into the White House, not to move any policies or anything like that. But
but I think they count. That's the thing. Their count. It's ridiculous, but in a way, their calculation might work. The shrinking populace that is voting,
and some people
at
vote
the same time.
No,
at the same time, there is you could argue time is on their side. Even like children of conservative people tend to have at least on certain issues, for example on the gay issue, although they could go after gay issues soon. I would say that another thing that works against the Democratic Party is that Republicans are not, Republicans, it's not like they're even thinking strategically. They're like monsters. Like they're just going at it. So with the gerrymandering as well, they are really squeezing at Democrats. So I don't know. I know what you mean. Like, in like they might turn into left just out of need, but I don't know.
No, you're right. And there are a few other things, right? One is that, like, I don't know what's the percentage, but I'm pretty sure like 70% of like Democrats, people who consider them Democrats and, vote year after year for Democrats or every election. I'm pretty sure if like, you put me up and like this Penn as vice president, like they would still vote because they always vote Democrats no matter what anyway. So you don't need to do anything. So you have that, at least you have that secure. You're not going to lose that. And plus, there's no competition. No, I just want to say there's no competition. It's just the Republicans. So again, you're dominant in that way. So, and you also, they have money, of course. There are a lot of billionaires and stuff. They don't like to be associated with Republicans. They're more like, liberal in their minds. So they have these going on for them, that's for sure.
I would like to clarify, I would say that 100% for the pen. Not so sure about you, but yes. No, you're right. 100% right. So, and all the money they get are from those people who would vote for the pen. So, why would they say, you know what I mean? Like, what left doesn't have money. It doesn't have institutions. It doesn't want to offer anybody also power. That's just off. No.
I mean, just think about
God forbid we don't give every grassroots voter of every fucking. Well, what do you think? Everybody should have their say. So, okay.
I'm sorry. This just reminds me like the Vanguard being like, there's nobody running on the left whatsoever. Jimmy Dore. Might as well go shoot him in the back of the head. I mean, like, sure, maybe actually the primary will, get some media attention so it could elevate Jimmy Dore a bit more. But I mean, I think there are other ways. I mean, that was one of the funnier things I've heard the Vanguard boys say. I was like, I'll be like, come on, in an ideal world, sure. But it's not even about the People's Party. It's literally Jimmy Dore might run and they're just trying to like attach themselves to him. So what, he's going to primary himself? I mean, yeah. It's like as if you're going to start a business and like you ask people to outbid you or something like yourself. It's just like, why would somebody do that?
But yeah, man, I can't wait till tomorrow where we talk about them. I feel like every person I kind of like, we have this week where we are either like, oh, they did great work, or we are like, oh, I'm a bit suspicious of that. And then the next week is like, oh, I hate them, basically. And now I feel like that's a bit about the Vanguard boys.
I like them a lot. I just don't get, and anyway, we cannot agree on a lot of things. Children. That's not the end of the world. But their reaction to Jimmy Dore was pretty funny. We have a separate video on that if anybody wants to go see it. But of potentially Jimmy Dore running for president there.
I guess I can't hate them because they're just they're like children. I mean, they are children, to be fair, but it's just, I don't know. The guest they had, man, Mike Figurino or whatever.
Action the figure. Humanist. Yeah, I haven't seen.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'll have some things to say. I mean, not much, but it was funny. Anyways.
Speaking of speaking of different news channels, there's some breaking point stuff I know you want to bring up. I don't know.
Oh yeah, just before that, I thought I'd talk about this. Transgender footballers in Germany can choose men's or women's team. Football Federation rule for youth futsal and amateur game. It applies to transgender, intersex, and non-binary players. So first of all, it's a very short article by Guardian. It basically says that they're, bucking the trend that is transgender women being banned from women's sports in some other countries. US, it's like that type of article where there's a lot of US type things from Guardian. But I mean, look, intersex people, I am okay. Can somebody tell me, like, so we have the intersex people, we have the people we discussed that have a different their brain functioning. And by the way, I recently found out what that means. That doesn't mean when they do an action, their brain functions different than other people from their gender or sex. It means that like the function is specifically called, like there's these different types of the brain. I talked to the doctor again, and these different types of the brain, like when you do activity, all become active to a certain degree. For men though, it's like one part, she said, becomes way more active than the others. For women, it's like far more, like everything becomes active at this sort of similar type of thing. But it's not about like doing the same activity and different regions and that
Mhm.
type of thing. So I guess we have the intersex people. We have this. What is non-binary, or what is the difference between transgender and non-binary? If somebody can tell me, I would appreciate it. But yeah, I have a feeling in the next few years Germany is gonna dominate like futsal, like just in women's sport. It would be interesting if I would be interested to see if it's like the case we saw with that swimmer guy who was
Yeah.
clearly like that was ridiculous. Is that like
I
are
think in
they
football, the impact would be much different, especially like big 11-a-side football. But maybe futsal would be different
really?
because it's like 5v5. So there,
Look,
if you have one good person, they'll change everything. But
look, I would not. We are not talking about just one person. No, but I would say again, I I like to call feminist. I'm a short guy. The biggest like a sport I do is sitting in the swimming pool sometimes. So I'm not a sporty at all. But at the professional level, I've seen like women's football, man, and I've seen men's football, and there is quite a big diff. Like, I'm sorry, but it's just not the same, is it?
yeah,
I
no,
don't
no, no,
know.
for sure. At the highest level, it is. But I'm just saying, like, at every level, there is. But I'm just saying, like, the impact might not be as much just because it's a team sport, especially 11 aside, you know? But yeah, I mean, if someone just happens to be
Like
significant.
five. No, imagine if there are four. I just for comedy's sake, I hope this by the way happens. And I would love it if like for comedy's sake,
Yeah.
I hope the worst fears of conservatives are true. And we just get like, for example, a women's German football team with 11 butch Germans, like with blonde mustaches. Oh yeah, yeah, we are a woman. What's up? Like Arnold. Basically, I would love to see that. It's
I,
just I
I
just
mean,
going through, just destroying every other team. Like
look at what the
tank.
Guardian says. I mean, I think their thing is a bit unfair though, so I don't agree with it fully.
But that's
But the
Guardian. I don't
Guardian
know.
says
I didn't read
the
that.
rules have been tested at local level by the Berlin Federation since 2019. And then there's a quote from them, from the federation. Experience has shown that this does not jeopardize the integrity of the competition. After all people have different physical strengths and abilities that only lead to success together in a team, regardless of gender. So, I mean, of course, they are exaggerating it because if not, we would have seen already the evidence in sports. So, I mean,
I
they're
would
taking it
say
too
when
far.
I
And
was
that's
a
the thing.
kid,
Test
though.
it at the
When I was
local level, exactly. It doesn't work when you test at a local level. I mean, I
exact
have been to like
professional,
pick up games and things like that where the girl is better than the other
much better.
20 dudes. So I mean, it's just
I can ride a bike, man. And I've had like 5 different girls trying to teach me, and I still can ride a bike. And yeah, no, I would say first of all at a local level, yeah, I don't know if maybe local level is still professional in this case. I don't know. So
it will be
maybe.
professional, but it will be lower, yeah, but still.
But yeah, I feel like yeah, and again, when I was a kid, though, I was always surprised that why and for example, for cinema, for acting, I hate that. I never understand why do we have a best actor and then best actress.
Yeah.
Like this is first of all, I from English language, what I know, actress is a recent innovation in English. Like actor was non-gendered, from what I recall. First of all, second of all, we should have a best leading actor and best supporting actor. I don't understand this gender, female,
The
male,
only
and well,
counter
and what about what about Jared Leto in Dallas Buyers Club? He was playing a transgender person. He won it for the best male actor. What
Matthew
I mean,
McConaughey, you mean? I think for once I know more.
no.
Oh,
They
damn
both
it.
won, but
Ah.
they both. Yeah, he was
I was
supporting.
about to
Jared was
school you. I was about to school you. I haven't even seen that movie, but I heard about it. This close.
No, they both won. You added there. It was
Okay.
good.
But what I was gonna say is that the only counter argument against that I could imagine is that they'll say that the world in reality is so sexist that if we did
Okay.
that, only men will win. But I think that argument would have worked like 100 years ago
30
or like
years ago.
50 years ago. Yeah, even
No,
30, I'm not too
30,
sure. Yeah.
even 30.
But I think
Like
now,
even 90s, man, the roles for
yeah,
women were really
really,
like you it started in 90s, you started having good roles. Like unless you were, you know, super hot. Like that's the
yeah.
thing with men. Of course, if you're a super hot man, you know, top Clark Gable, whatever, you know. But there was always roles for even like shitty, ugly men.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, I think in 90s that really becomes an option for women. I mean, not that there is exceptions before that, but you know.
Yeah, of course. But yeah.
And now by another thing, I just a digression, sorry. It's just now I hate it that they do this thing that because they want to do this marketing for a movie, they basically they cast really beautiful people as extremely ugly people, like Colin Farrell in Batman Penguin as Penguin. Like, why don't you just cast the fat guy? You spend like $3 million, and like he has to sit in a chair half a day for them to put the makeup, so he becomes a fat Italian. Well, just cast the fucking fat. Like, it's so unfair to ugly people as ugly people. I really feel that. Like,
yeah, but
like roles, like you can't even have fucking shitty roles of like disgusting looking motherfucker. Like, this is all we have now. Like,
no, I mean the industry is definitely biased in that way. And then again, I can imagine them just being like, well, Colin Farrell is a bigger name, so we're gonna shoehorn him into this movie one way or another. So like
great
Batman's
actor,
already
great job.
taken, blah 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 is taken. There is there is the role of this rabbit. You're gonna have to turn into a rabbit. we'll put you
No,
in
it's
there.
just I'm trying to think of. It's hard. Like Bob Hoskins. You know Bob
Danny
Hoskins.
DeVito.
Remember him from Mermaids? You saw.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Bob Hoskins, Danny DeVito types. Those guys are so rare these days. There is if they get like Robert Pattinson and then they make him bald and like old, and it's like like even Christian Bale in what was it, the one, the
Machinist or
no, he got thin for it. That's different, I feel. But no, he got fat and they did his hair like a comb over with Jennifer Lawrence and another famous actress. One of those guys. I don't
movie
like
about like the 60s or 70s.
Yeah, I really don't like that guy, that director. He also did Silver Lining Playbook, if I'm not mistaken, which is God, I hate his movies. But he's very famous. He famously lost it on a
yeah, no, they made. I mean, but you know, again, if you want to use Christian Bale and stuff,
I heart Huckabee director, fuck whatever his name. Yeah. Anyway, no, Christian Bale is. I would say that was different, but it's like it's still low. Like, get an ugly guy. I don't get it. Like, get somebody with a comb over. These people, I see them in the streets. They like, I don't know. I feel like it's very not fair to us ugly guys that they are just. Perhaps. Anyways, that was how did we get to this? From transgender?
Yeah, I'm not too sure.
But in a sports, I remember when I was a kid, I was so like, why do they have women and men teams? Yeah. But then I started watching professional level sports like tennis and football, and I was like, okay, they should have. Like,
and it definitely doesn't need to be done for all sports though. So I mean, there is a list of sport where you can mix, and then
gymnastics, I would imagine.
Gymnastics is a funny, tricky one that I've thought about before, and I think I told you about this, and I didn't look into it too much, because in my head, I was like, gymnastics is the best sport to see how good like male and female can be, because there isn't like the stereotype of like, girls shouldn't do gymnastics. So they're not discouraged, right? So they're very much encouraged compared to a lot of other sports to could do it. So I thought, wow,
I would never let my child do it, because recently in the UK, just like US, it turned out they were just abusing all of them. Like, it's so fucked up, man. Do you remember the Larry Nassar guy? The motherfucker raped like, but I believe it was like 3 digits, man. It was It was like, it was one of those like, stories that you wanted to. Sorry, but go ahead.
No, that is horrible.
I would never encourage.
However, I'm thinking of putting actually my kids in gymnastics, regardless of that, because I think it would.
CCTVs, man. CCTVs.
Because it would give them, the best kind of athletic body you can and then use later on for any other sport that you want. It seems to be some of the best. But
I've been told they have the best like health, like swimming. They always say gymnasts and swimmers have the best body and health.
yeah,
Type thing.
full
I don't know if
body
it's true.
exercise. So I mean, it
I
makes
guess,
a lot of sense.
recently, again, this is something as I grew up, I found out. Like I found out how strength is so important. Like, you know what I mean? Like, like with MMA, when we found out that if a karate guy goes against a wrestler, the wrestler, like when I was growing up, I would have thought, like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, so doesn't gymnastic, you have to be really thin so you don't have much strength per se?
No, you'll definitely have you'll have a lot of strength because I mean everything that you have to do with your own body. So you'll be extremely strong actually, you know, to do a handstand and all this, you'll be extremely strong, I would imagine. But anyway, I know very little about gymnastics. So I've never done any gymnastics, I know very little. But anyway, the point I was trying to make is that interestingly and surprisingly, if anybody knows about gymnastics, please correct me. Men and women's competition are actually different in gymnastics, and men apparently have a far more challenging. I mean, someone please correct me if I'm talking crap. I don't know. And I was surprised that men apparently, yeah. Anyway, the competition is not the same, and the men have like something that's considered harder or more challenging. Apparently, something that if anybody knows about gymnastics, let us know, because yeah, that's a great sport to compare, right? Like how far women can go because there is much less, you know, bias towards it in society.
I thought women are more flexible, aren't they?
But like I think
they have one less ribs that makes them more. No, is that the old wives' tale? Shit.
I mean, maybe perhaps just like that, or you know, a lot of like girls, they're far more like double jointed in a way, like, you know, their like elbows go back more. But there are men who are like that too, you know, like their elbows go back more or their hands go back more.
Whoa,
but it happens more with women.
Wait.
With females.
What do you mean?
Females.
Women? What?
Females.
Elbows like go up?
Not too much. So instead of like it's straight, but it can also like, you know, like really like bend like this more.
No,
so joints in some cases, not that it goes 90 degrees the other way, so don't mix stuff up your head, but like a little bit.
I didn't know. This is the talks I'm having with you and this doctor is now. I used to be fucking feminist who thought men and women are now what their elbows bend and their knees bend and their brain is different. I don't know
about that. But no, here is saying, you know, women have more joint flexibility than men, though this may be part because they tend to be smaller, right? But they're saying double jointed people affects 20% of the population.
I bet I'm smaller than most women. So
but I've seen a very double jointed man as well. So I mean, yeah, I think it's male and women.
I'm gonna. Okay.
We have a friend. His hands, you know him. Like his hand, you go like this. Like you can literally like.
Who?
His fingers can really like curve the other way around. It's crazy.
Jesus Christ! Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God! I had no idea people with especially like is he a mutant? Is he part of X-Men? Tell me.
He could be honestly. But yeah, maybe double jointedness affects men and women together. But anyway, when it comes to gymnastics, I think if a male is practicing from a young age, they could have similar flexibility.
Oh my God! Shit, man. Fuck. I just Googled double jointedness. I've never seen. This is the freakiest shit. Oh my God.
And apparently it's more common among an adolescence, which makes sense because people's body just go to shit after 30s.
But Jesus Christ, man. Wow. This is like, did you know people can be allergic to tomatoes?
I've heard they say that, tomatoes, ketchup, I've heard too. I mean, because they put it in there, It's nothing like the peanut one, I believe, or not that common, but.
Yeah, somebody told me that, and I was just like, bullshit. And he was, no, I'm allergic to that. I was like, no, come on, you can't be allergic. What do you eat then? Air? And it was like, no, I am. And I was like, oh, so you never, you can't have pizza? I couldn't believe it. It's just like, it was, this is like that. Wow. I'm just like, I had a friend in a school or not a friend, classmate, I'd like to clarify.
Mhm.
But he used to do this thing that he could do. Did you know these people can pass their, no,
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
like that. He
yeah, yeah.
could pass his hand over his head or like that, and he would go "Klukka." Like that was the weirdest thing I've had seen. But now this,
But
oh
okay, all right.
wow.
Let me bring you back to geopolitics.
No, let's talk about body. I want to talk about body shapes now.
Do you have any
Jesus.
other stories before we move on to some of our other stories, such as France and Colombia? Did you talk about breaking points? What you wanted to
Oh no,
mention?
let's talk about breaking. Yeah, before just it's a good place to start France and Colombia in a way. I feel like the left needs to really chill out, but I mean I'm not putting breaking points on the left, but even anti-establishment, as they like to call themselves. What is like? Did you see their headlines? The the left and the right on march as the establishment collapses in France and Colombia and
Oh,
Ecuador. The destruction of the establishment in France and Colombia.
I
Like
wish.
even
I
even
wish.
Chapo Trap. Yeah, I mean Chapo Trap House guys were far more balanced in their take, but like even like yeah, chill the fuck out. This is like
Yeah.
like
I
I
think
don't know.
I
Just
haven't
saying.
seen his headlines, but it just reminds me of the reverse that happened when Trump became president. Because they would get Trump and they will like pick like two other similar people to Trump, and like that was it. Okay, now this trend of Trump like people is happening everywhere and all that. And it was a bit of, a bit made up and and not the truth. So I mean, this seems like it's
Yeah,
a bit
yeah.
of
I
overreading it
mean
here as well.
that
I
was
mean,
by mainstream media mostly, I
yeah,
would say,
but
but this
others,
is by
yeah, true.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want the people like that's the thing what I hate about like it's the left people who are on the left always complain to mainstream media about having a bias. But then whenever it comes to their own peer people, they have a bias. Not that I'm not saying okay, they don't hide their bias. Sure, that's better. But don't have a bias, like don't okay, some leftist one in Colombia. Do you think that's gonna like what Lula was in charge for like 2 decades almost, and Maduro and Chavez have
Yeah.
been in charge for years. What have they achieved?
Yeah, no,
Like
you have to look at
chill the
much
fuck
bigger
out.
trends. And I know
Yeah,
that different parties are now winning in France, but left is coming up on top in France is no like, wow, how could that ever be? France is a country where people strike all the
like
time.
every other day.
Francois Hollande, he was technically a socialist, although like it's I think
Mitterrand,
yeah.
Mitterrand was
Francois
technically a
Hollande, I
socialist.
swear, I feel like if you take like a French history book, they just skip his presidency.
Yeah.
Even that one
Who
term, they're
or
like
who?
slowly. Yeah, no.
They just divide it up between Sarkozy and Macron. Just yeah, there
But
was
if
President
not, he
Hollande.
was
You
a
don't remember?
socialist.
There was no Hollande.
Yeah.
This is American propaganda. No Hollande. No.
A
So yeah,
president who didn't speak English. I mean,
really he didn't speak English. I mean,
French
look,
people are
Iranian
allergic to
president.
English.
That's. I mean, they're
Like they go
suckers,
out of their
but
way, I think, to not
yes,
learn in some
man.
cases.
I saw a French guy one time attacking a friend from like a French farmer, telling our French friend that our other friend who's from New Zealand, why has he come here? He comes here, they steal jobs. Oh, I mean, he was talking French, but I'm translating here with the French accent. So it was like the weirdest, and I was right there, and I was like, why shouldn't you go after me? Oh, wait, the thing was, he was living in France. I was just a tourist. So
Okay.
he was like, no, he cool guy, he brings money in the country. This motherfucker, New Zealand piece of Kiwi piece of shit, man. It was great. It was great, I must say. But yeah, I mean, Iranian presidents are, Jesus Christ, they're not. I mean, the current president barely can talk Persian. So,
But that foreign minister, the one who was like, not the foreign minister, sorry.
Javad
The
Zarif,
yes, the negotiator
foreign
for
minister. No, he was foreign minister.
oh, he was also foreign minister at one point. Okay.
Yeah.
And he spoke English really well.
Yeah, relatively. That
Uh,
piece of shit. I hate him more than
yeah.
anyone. He's the Democrats of Iran. I
Yeah.
really hope I see him one day and beat the shit out. Like I'm joking, but what a piece of shit. These are the assholes that did the revolution in Iran, and he was one of the students. They got the money from the public and Shah during Shah's time. He went to San Francisco, studied. I know from a fact from people who were in his class that most of his time he was in this Islamic fucking society of that or Islamic society of this. And then when Shah went there, did a protest and all of that, and then came back to fucking pieces, sellout pieces of shit, more Americanized than most Americans, and pretend, no, we are just good guys. We are trying to balance Iran. You are the most Americanized pieces of shit. I take conservatives over you pieces of shit any day. I hate. Oh, sorry. I need my pills. I need. I've been better. I feel like I'm adjusting to my new
No, you've been good. But yeah, I mean, I don't know enough about, what's happening exactly in Colombia and also in France, but it seems like a bit premature going in those ways. I mean, yeah, they elected a president and, the left wing won more seats and stuff like that in the French parliament. That's like,
more than you, No, it's not more than the main party ensemble. Establishment is not about to collapse. All right, chill out.
Yeah,
nobody's collapsing. So but yeah,
unfortunately, not.
I mean, look, not necessary. I'm not big on collapses, but Colombia, the guy won, which is pretty cool because everybody was worried the psychopath who was. I mean, the guy was so funny, man. Hernandez or whatever his name was, the right-wing guy, he was just so funny. I think, like they said, like in one interview, I think Chapo guys mentioned that in one interview, they asked him, like you have a very similar to Trump or whatever, you're very anti-intellectual or you don't like smart people. And he just panics and he just goes, no, I love Einstein. He's my favorite. Like, it's like the best defense. It's like, Newton, love the guy. Galileo, my dude. So that's good, at least left. But it does feel a bit of, I do feel with all the news of recessions, it's kind of like left is taking power in certain countries just as the recession, like, because Lula is going to make a comeback. And apparently everybody else now in South America is pretty much leftist.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Bolivia, Ecuador.
There are quite a few, but I mean, this trend goes back to the past like 10, 15 years. We've seen that. I mean, Ecuador had one of like, the
Colombia
most promising.
The last.
Yeah, Colombia.
So I guess.
Yeah. But I mean, Ecuador, I don't know who's Ecuador's president now, but Ecuador had they had one of like the most like, celebrated leftist presidents who made it at least 2 to 3 terms. You remember the young guy?
Oh, no, I don't actually.
But he was like, on the left and very big. So it's not very new, in South America for there to be. I'm talking about Rafael Correa from 2007 to 2017. You remember him? Good looking guy.
South America is a bit of a blind spot for me. I just Googled, it's not him, he's not the president, and there are apparently clashes in Ecuador right now over what?
No, I know Correa is no longer the president since 2017, but I'm just saying that, trend of having leftist presidents goes back at least a decade or two, I believe, in different South American countries. Lula, after Lula, there was also her follower, so.
Yeah, look, the indigenous people are protesting in Ecuador. No, that was my point, was that there seems to be the wave is completing. So, but I hope the recession doesn't sour everything. We'll see. But and in France, Mélenchon has said that he's trying to go as hardcore as he can. He says the prime minister, who's, I believe, is a lady called Borne. I don't know how to pronounce that. She needs to seek a vote of confidence from the new parliament because of the makeup. Although she still has, basically in France, the president is elected, but the cabinet, they need a vote of confidence.
Mhm.
So, he's basically playing it tough ball. And Macron came out and said they should leave fighting behind. It's time to focus on real issues. So
I see. Yeah, and the lady's name is
that's the usual.
Elizabeth Bourne. So you did well. I don't. The
Bourne?
Bourne doesn't sound very French, so I don't know in France if they call her Bourne or I don't know.
No, she was originally part of a CIA program
what.
that trained her to become a killer. And then she lost her identity. She moved with a girl to India. Then the girl get assassinated. She goes back to hunt down the people who came up with the program, and then she becomes the prime minister of France. That's I believe. I might be mixing French politics with the Bourne series of movies,
Yeah,
but I doubt it.
I mean, you weren't. I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess her
I
last
wasn't
name.
too far off.
No, I'm joking. Her last name comes from the fact that her father, Joseph Bornstein, son of Zelig Bornstein, from Luko, which is a city in eastern Poland, was a stateless Jewish refugee who was born in Belgium, then fled to France. So yeah, so I mean, from that background, I guess that's where her last name comes from. I thought her last name didn't sound too French.
Bornstein, so very German Jewish, I would
she's
say.
dropped the Stein. They should have kept the Stein, Bornstein.
Yeah, Stein is the cool part, really.
But that I think in France, yeah, that'll be.
Yeah, in France might not be that cool. But but to be fair, her grandfather's story not too far off Born Identity. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, Sam, let's try to do some real geopolitics for a split second. So I got this great article in my mailbox because I'm subscribed to Trita's bi-monthly kind of newsletter or thing that he sent. He often writes opinion pieces for MSNBC. So this one was good. The headline is, "In the Middle East, Biden walks in Trump's footsteps and will repeat his failure." So pretty much I'll read two short paragraphs, but here, the main argument is that, this trip has very little to do, of course, with bringing oil prices down, as if, that was even feasible, but it's rather, to strengthen relationships even more with Israel and Saudi Arabia and provide to them the security that they want. So listen to this, Sam. Rumors have been circulating in Washington for months that Biden is seeking to expand Trump's signature foreign policy initiative, the Abraham Accords, which normalize diplomatic relations between Israel, Bahrain, and the UAE. Biden wants to bring Saudi Arabia into a similar kind of arrangement with Israel. Details are beginning to leak of how he will try to get Saudi Arabia to take critical steps towards recognizing Israel. And the most alarming one is that the United States is offering a major security pact to the autocratic regimes in Saudi Arabia and UAE. And then another paragraph here. According to a source close to the ruler of the Emirates, this would be a binding strategic defense cooperation pact that goes beyond anything the US has agreed to in the region before. A former Biden advisor, Daniel Shapiro, confirmed to Newsweek magazine that Saudi Arabia was looking for assurances that the US will retain significant military presence in the region to help Saudi Arabia address the threats it faces from Iran. End of quote. And finally, it wrote, as well as to take Saudi Arabia's side in its gruesome war in Yemen. So, I mean, if this is true, this sounds very different than, pivoting to the Pacific and all that. Although, I was never sure how much of that it is, because this is pretty much saying Saudi Arabia was looking for assurances that the US will retain significant military presence in the region.
Look, this is, I think this is going to end up being, in wrestling when you tag somebody in. This is Biden going, Israel, you take over. All right.
Yeah.
And Israel is basically an American military base, right? It's probably the largest American military base. And basically, I think America is going, okay, we are going, guys. But Israel is going to be there and he's going to.
But can Israel, though? Can Israel really?
Yeah, they have nuclear weapons, man. Sure. They have best missiles.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
of
nuclear
course, against
weapons are pretty
Iran.
much, I mean, you can't use nuclear weapons.
Why not? Use a small tactical one.
Is that a thing? Can you do that with nuclear weapons?
According to a lot of people, it's possible, especially since the Russian-Ukraine war. They talk about it a lot.
Yeah,
And
but again,
in
is
Middle
that
East,
true? Is that
Muslims.
real? Can it?
Look, I mean, there will be what's gonna happen. Some poor people gonna get sick and die. Who gives a shit? Like, what's the
And there's no retaliation. I mean, Iran doesn't have
no Iran? If
the
no,
nuclear.
Iran doesn't have nuclear weapon, but Iran doesn't need to. It can just flatten Israel in 2 minutes. So it's just they're
So
not gonna
right,
use
yeah.
nuclear
Does that not
weapons.
counter kind of what you're saying? Can Israel really stand up and protect Saudi
No,
Arabia, protect the
but
UAE?
well, look, Iran can flatten Israel in 2 seconds. Israel can flatten Iranian cities in 2 seconds too. So yeah, they basically hold each other off, you know. So yeah,
No, I understand.
and
No, that's
neither
definitely
of them.
one.
And by the way, neither of Iran or Israel has any intention of going to war with each
Of
other
course.
or going to war with anybody. Frankly, all they're trying to do in Iran, they're trying to sell the military industrial complex as a necessary thing, and in Israel, they're trying to sell the military industrial complex to Arabs as a necessary thing. So and in a way, yeah, I mean.
No, I
I
feel
get
you. I mean, you're not contradicting the article, and that goes one way. Although, the US would still need to, yes, sell stuff, and I mean that's nothing, but of course,
I mean,
help them out.
the airplane that we're going to UAE, the F whatever is that's why UAE recognized Israel. Those were assembled in Israel. Like I'm not. This is like this. Yeah, this is just a reassurance. Although I would, if I was the Arab nations, I would be very worried because I do think when push comes to shove, neither America nor Israel would do anything for them. In fact,
Unless
if
it really
Turkey,
benefits them for some reason.
yeah, and it like frankly, in like 5 6 years, Turkey or Iran, if they walk into Arab country and take over, which they can, Israel might see that okay, maybe let one go, so the others get a bit more scared. I can see that. Like, because
No.
frankly, Iran or Turkey right now can walk into Iraq and claim it. It's not that difficult.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, yeah.
They don't have an army. So, it's like, and Iran and Turkey both have an army within their country. So it's a joke. So, Arabs
No.
are naturally scared. But yeah.
No, fair enough.
But I would
convince me quite a bit.
disagree. Yeah, I would disagree with something in the article, which is why is that a Trump failure or why is that a Biden failure? The title. Maybe he didn't write the title.
Oh, because I guess this is why I'm guessing he says this because at the end he goes to he has 3 points that he unpacks it, right? And like for instance, the third one is, for instance, Biden's defense pact is not likely to make the Middle East overall more secure. He goes on to say the Abraham Accords, contrary to claims that their creative new approach to securing the Middle East continue a 4-decade-long failed American strategy region. So that was a good question you posed. Who wants that? So I guess if to read the headline from the point of view of like humans and people, it fails. But exactly, I mean, from the government, from the Biden administration's point of view, from the military industrial complex point of view, all of that, how is that a failure? From the Emiratis government point of view, I'm sure they're very happy with their new relationship with Israel.
I feel like you're referring to many organizations that contain a lot of people, so to speak, human beings. So I would say you're being a bit soft on humans. I guess I'm not one of them, but yeah, I can't see why would security for who? That's the thing, security for who? I am secure when my bank account is very, 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 there's a lot of fucking zeros in front of.
Well, not everywhere, right? If you were like, let's say in Afghanistan, That wouldn't. I mean, you'd have to flee with that money, just like those
Yeah,
leaders
that's
that
the
we
thing.
talked about.
I would never remain there for long if I had that level of money. So I'm just saying, for who, for when, you know. Yeah, but we'll see. Well, I doubt it's gonna help the gas prices or
Oh yeah,
the
no. I mean, that's his.
2022
Oh no, that's for
midterm
sure.
election.
Is like, yeah. Second, Biden's gamble is also unlikely to push down skyrocketing gas. Man, the Biden thing with the gas and him going there, it just reminds me of this really funny image in my head. So when I was a kid, my dad had sports shops, right? And like once a year, he would go, like, especially at snowboards, and then once a year he would go to like this expo in Germany where, like, to see stuff. And whenever he'd come back, like the people, like the ski instructors and stuff, they were like, "Oh, did you bring anything new or something like that?" But I mean, he got them through shipments, and it would be like, "No, like what? You want me to put like 2 snowboards under under my arms and like bring them back?" With the Biden thing, I get the same thing. Like it's gonna go and like, okay, fill up those 2 suitcases with oil at the very least. I know that's not what they're saying, but just keep on getting this image. Like Biden is gonna go in the Middle East. Be like, I'm checking in a barrel on the way back. Put this barrel of oil in the market. It will definitely bring the prices down.
I'm traveling business class. I can carry extra 10 kilo. Put some oil in there. Put some oil.
It just reminds me of that so much.
Yeah, right. So, well, that's what happens when you get rid of power in politics. It just becomes a show, and that's what we have now. Like it's all a president is just a ceremonial character now that goes around.
Biden more than anyone, right? At the moment.
I mean Trump too, but yeah, these two are. I mean, I think it has started with Obama, really, but yeah, these. I mean, they've just taken it to next level. But yeah, I hope he didn't pack a heavy baggage, so he has enough space for a lot
He's
of
like,
cats.
Jill, we're sharing a suitcase, okay? That's it. The rest is for oil.
I promise you, they have washing machines, Jill. Just bring one set of underwear and we just wash it. You don't need to.
I also might want to bring that globe that when Trump went and they put their hands on it, whatever that was.
They have that. That's stationed in Saudi. That's a anti-terrorism center in
so that's
Saudi,
what that comes
Jeddah,
from. Huh?
I think it was that was the funniest part when the American president, the Saudi king, and the Egyptian president just put their hands on a globe. The whole thing turns dark, and the globe is like, why do people turn to conspiracy theories? Why?
Yeah. Like, no, that picture was like messed. That picture was like, just messed up. All right, Sam, let's move on to our final story or stories. So what do you have for us next?
Yeah, so there was a lot of development in and around Iran, I guess, geopolitically and otherwise. Iran had a very active foreign policy week. I think we talked about it. They had the Tajikistani leader over and they signed a deal with him. They had the Kazakhstani leader and they signed a deal with him. Like another cooperation deal type thing. And then Lavrov was in Tehran, Russian foreign minister, and he announced that they're going to sign a 20-year sort of deal as well. And then so that was, these are the more, let's say, geopolitical stuff. I love, by the way, how it's really like the parallels between Iran and America quite funny, because Iranian president currently is viewed pretty much as a non-entity as well.
Interesting.
And he's just like, that he's not probably involved even in setting the meetings, and man, he's just such a not like it's.
But why? How come with him? Like even comparing him to Rouhani or whatever, he's just much more.
No, Rouhani was I wasn't a big fan. He was neoliberal and all that, but he was marginalized. He was head of one gang. and then there was another gang, and they fought and blah blah blah.
But I thought this guy
is
was actually more like powerful and established, or
no, he's from the most powerful and established part of the establishment, let's say, right? But he's a puppet. He's somebody who
Okay.
was like, when revolution happened, he was 17. They made him a judge when he was like 20 or something, and they had him like sign, like he's a fall guy. He's a fall guy, you know. He's like and he can barely talk. Like, it's unbelievable.
Really?
It's
But
just
why?
like,
He's not that old, right?
no,
Or
no, he's not old. He's just nonsense. He just
Really?
he just, yeah, man. He goes visit celebrities and he just keeps saying, "Oh, have you had lunch? Have you had lunch?" And they're like, "Yeah, yes, I did." Like, we're talking about women's issues and, you know, how hard it is. No, but did you lunch? Was lunch provided?
Really?
Is there free lunch? Is there free? Like, yeah, he's very obsessed with lunch. He's
Yeah.
very he does a lot of he just, yeah, a lot of gaps. It's just, well, so he's doing his thing, but it's just but right now, like in Iran, it's clear that whatever equivalent of a deep state is running the show. You know, it's just like the presidency is really, at this point, is a joke.
Really? I
Yeah,
see.
so that's been fun. But there was a interesting development. As we discussed, there was a lot of terrorist activities. Largely, it is thought, and some of it is claimed by Mossad and probably CIA or US, you know, affiliated organizations, I guess. I don't know. And then Iran, this is a headline from like today or yesterday, Iran replaces Revolutionary Guard's intelligence chief amid recent death of officers. This is from France 24, but it was all over Iranian news. So the Guard's chief Major General Hossein Salami appointed General Mohammad Kazemi as the new head of the IRGC's intelligence organization. God's spokesman Ramazan Sharif said in a statement. So there is and Salami appointed the guy who was the head as an advisor to himself. So it's not like exactly they got rid of him.
Okay, I see.
But it does show a bit of like they're, you know, they have to do something because of you know, because yeah, just come on, guys. Like, this is like every week, Jesus Christ. like you know, because that's the thing with states like Iran, you know, there is a trade-off. Like, we trade our social freedoms for security, and they're really falling on that security part right now. So end of the deal. So yeah, it's time to pick it up. On more funny news, you had the most like conservative Iranian newspaper, equivalent of New York Times, the establishments, you know, talking about. They had an article which was fascinating because, as you know, the child birth rate in Iran is falling largely. Iran is, you know, and you know, people aren't having children largely because there's like, why? Like, the school is super expensive.
Yeah.
Healthcare is expensive. Everything is super expensive.
And people might be having kids, but as long as all women, I believe on average, don't have two kids, then your population rate will be going downwards. So people could be having one kid, but you know, they would need to be having 2 to 3 kids on average, you know, I think, for the population rate to keep on growing. So yeah.
All right. I didn't know that. But anyways,
I believe so,
yeah. So it's been a big, like in Iran, it used to be when we were kids, they were trying to keep it down. Now they're trying to push it up. So, you know, now they're trying to push it up and all that, but it's not happening. And they had an article in the most, let's say, conservative establishment, like newspaper in Iran, and they try to use certain people as role models for Iranian people. Yes, cool.
I would know.
Yes.
So a role model for, like, they were just like showing random role models regardless of age, kind of, right? So it's not like a young person or something.
In this case, at least one of them is relative. Yeah, they're youngish. They're our age. One of them older. much older. But but
Is the
they were
older
saying,
one
look
the
at them.
football player?
No, but half right, I guess.
You have to
The
tell me.
younger one is a football player, actually.
Okay, I wouldn't know any young football players, so that I don't think I
Well,
would.
no, he's not a very young. I mean,
Mm.
he's young. I consider 30 years old young. I don't know about
Yeah.
So one was Cristiano Ronaldo.
Oh, I was thinking Iranians.
No, that's the thing. It's Iranian. Like, this is a newspaper. Like, in 10 years ago, if you said that I like Brad Pitt, he's a good actor, you fucking westernized piece of shit. You are so westernized. You like Brad Pitt, and then now they're like, Cristiano Ronaldo is a role model of, because apparently he has like 15 children or something. I don't know. He's like fucking like a rabbit out there. And then another one was Angelina Jolie. Which is older, I guess. Like, she's
Stop.
50.
Can you send me? Do you have a screenshot of this
Yes,
article or
I'll
something?
send you a screenshot. Yeah, I'll send you a screen. I mean, I saw the thing on Instagram, and I read about it on a BBC Persia, I think, thing, or Iran. I don't know. But it wasn't. I didn't read it on that mag. Like, I don't read.
But this is nuts.
This is so nice, and yeah, they use these two as examples. And okay, all right, I mean, the whole thing is so weird because didn't Cristiano Ronaldo have somebody else?
No, I mean, Cristiano Ronaldo first had like a kid by himself through a surrogate, like 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Then since then he's had like a wife. So they had one kid together.
A wife or many wife?
No, I mean, at least wife one. And then recently his wife was again about to give birth to twins, but the boy passed away at birth.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So yeah, so I believe he has like 3 to 4, and yeah, something like that. But I mean, Angelina Jolie was a better example. I think she has more kids, I believe. No,
but that's the thing. Yeah, but she's adopted some of them. It's not like and are you sure she's I don't know if she's the role model for Islamic like women you want to go with. Look, I'm not for Islamic culture or anything like that. But if you're gonna promote that, I don't know if that she
No, but adoption is not fine. Oh yeah, so she has 6, 3 biological, 3 adopted.
Population growth, does it?
True, unless you bring the kids from a different country.
Unless you're forcing me to have sex with her. I'm gonna adopt the baby.
But and on a more, I mean, this is ridiculous. On a more serious note, the one thing that I would say is that Iran's situation is actually nothing like these other countries whose population is going down, like Italy or Japan, because Iran's population boom was so recent. That means for the foreseeable future, there's a lot of young people and working force people too. So I mean, it should not be
20 years.
20 years. That's definition of foreseeable future. I think not.
No, okay. No, you're right. Not on. I thought you said unforeseeable. Sorry, but yes, you're sorry.
Because I mean, Iran's population doubled, right? Like starting the 80s.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, after the revolution and the war. Yeah, pretty much. It was 37. About when the revolution like took place, sort of, and then it came to now it's 80, and but one of the worst things about the revolution was my grandmother was part of the program, actually, family planning, and after the revolution they got rid of all the family planning for a while, and for example, women, and then Khomeini said like, we should have babies, we need soldiers, as if like they were planning. That was the thing, they were planning for Iran and Iraq to go on at least like 20 years. So some of the people turn 18, join the war, fight for a couple of years. It was,
man, this is nuts though. And Cristiano Ronaldo has 5 kids as of now. But I mean, this is the kind of Cristiano Ronaldo, he's pretty old for a footballer. He's 37.
Oh, I thought he was younger than us, but okay.
No,
but I was gonna say, man, there was one guy on court cam. I'm just most of my life is court cam now. He had 40 children. Okay,
was he some kind of sheikh or something?
what's he some kind of sorry?
Sheikh or something like.
No. He was some Florida man, obviously. From yes, obviously. He was a man of no means. He was living at different baby mamas' houses, and the judge. This was the judge, like for the judge had seen him when he had 31 kids, and within like 6 months he had managed. I don't know how is that even biologically possible. He had produced like about to 9 more. But what is with I can't get a date, and these people are like having children en masse, like one is a 5 children. What is I'm sorry, but why
Ronaldo?
Yeah, don't have this many kids.
I mean, listen, he's like right. A multi,
No, but he doesn't have. Yeah, but even if you have money, you can't extend your time. I don't see how, like when you have that many kids, man, I don't think you can. I don't know.
And one of his kids already plays for the Manchester United under 17.
How old is the kid?
The Manchester has 5 kids. The first of his children is named after Cristiano, was born on July 2010. So he's 12, and yeah, he already plays for the Man U's under 12.
He has a 12-year-old kid. Jesus, man, I can't believe.
But I mean, listen, weird. His adult life. I mean, not that yours has started yet, but it started when he was like 15.
Sorry, whoa. I feel empty inside suddenly for some reason.
Like, look, here it says that his career started in 92. So 7 years after he was born, he already had a
career. That's true.
Not a first job, not a career.
92. I remember that year. I was He-Man, I believe, was big for me.
I mean, listen, he's been taking care of his mom since he was probably like 14, 15. Really? So,
Why has he been taking care of his mom?
I mean, in the sense that, your son becomes a multi-millionaire at a very young age. Yeah, in that sense.
Oh, sorry. I thought his mom had something. No, I'm not saying, but I'm just, again, first, okay. First, you made this way too personal. I'm just.
But sometimes I feel like that's the only way you understand things. You need to. This needs to be a shock to the system.
I feel insecure and shitty now that I'm not a multimillionaire and all that. Well, I'm just saying. I was just saying this article doesn't seem to be.
Going back to the article.
Going back to the. I don't want to discuss my personal failures, okay? Fuck you.
No,
your adult life having started.
I agree.
Just because I watch cartoons doesn't mean I am an adult.
No, I agree with you.
Hey, Gil.
But listen, that article makes no. Can't believe. So they didn't include any Iranians.
I didn't read the whole actual article, so I don't.
But man, I can just imagine how badly, like, that kind of article, like if you ever publish it in the States, that's the kind of shit people would jump on and rip it apart. Like, no matter which other country you would pick, like, it would just make no sense, right? Imagine like an argument made like that in like the New York Times, but the examples are like Germans or like Indians, like the exact article that you said. Right, I can just imagine the backlash.
But the thing is, though, that's the thing, though. In Iran, as you know, this is quite commonly done by liberals that they compare Iranians to, like, suddenly they're like, in liberal circles.
But these are not liberals, no?
Yeah, that's the point. That's the weirdest part. It's like, in Iran, it's very common to say, "Oh, you see Kamir, you see this, Jeff Bezos. You see how, if Iranian people's very bit more like Jeff Bezos."
No, of course,
and it's like, oh, what the fuck are you talking about?
I mean, 100%. Yeah. So liberals who saw this, they were like, "Oh, finally they're learning. Finally, their eyes are opening." It's kind of bullshit you hear.
Yeah, this is like, New Republic or some shitty, not New Republic, sorry, what's National Review? National Review, they both have NR type. And they like some really super Christian Witch Leaf, I don't know, whatever. And then suddenly look at the role models from the Middle East.
Yeah.
Muhammad, with his more than 4 wives, what a role model was he? As a Mormon, I can really, what is going? It's the weirdest. Like,
no,
everything is changing. And they had the
Exactly.
Russian as foreign spokesperson or something was in Iran. And usually, like, whenever some woman is in Iran, especially if she's like from European country, they force them to, oh, your socks are not long enough,
Yeah.
But then the Russian foreign spokesperson showed up with, for Iran, something like a bikini, basically. Like, no, she was wearing a dress which was just below her
Yeah.
knees, and she wasn't wearing, socks. So it was like, and then all the liberals in Iran are like, what the fuck, man? If it was, what the fuck? You come on, man. So hypocrisy burn is
Yeah.
becoming a lot
I
more
see.
common. Yeah.
That's hilarious, man. Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
it's a total twist, but that was a very good point. Like, I don't think people would understand it. Like, liberal middle class people in Iran, at least a segment, the way they worship foreigners.
Foreign
Certain
rich
foreigners,
celebrities.
of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
rich celebrities.
Yeah.
You never hear them talking about that working class guy from Arkansas
Yeah.
or Northern England.
Yeah.
Or
God forbid India or like Africa.
India.
Or
No.
something.
Yeah, they talk about like, it's so funny whenever they talk about the foreign countries are better, and I'm like, oh, like India, and they're like, no, that's not foreign.
That's literally the definition.
And you're like, what do you mean that's not foreign?
No, foreigner literally means white. I remember like when I was like a kid.
Not white. It means European.
Yeah,
American.
Sure.
There can be Black American. Will Smith.
Yeah, that's true. But like, I mean, in a big sense, like, foreigners associated with like white Europeans or white Americans. But I understand what you're saying. Okay. No,
I know what you're saying, like, but yeah.
But it's not like Chinese people. I mean, yeah, maybe, but like, or other, like you just said, like, they wouldn't consider India.
Even that's the thing though. I see it with like recently Novorish, like, they're recently rich in Tehran now. You see that because they're more in contact with China or stuff. Some of them, China or Turks, they're Novorish. So, old rich Iranians would never talk about Chinese or Turks in a, positive manner, or Russians in any positive, like, that's just not done.
Yeah.
But now they talk about, oh, I saw some rich Chinese man. They were rich Turkish people, very, so it's money. It's all about the fucking money. The only group that even if they become rich, whatever they do, they will never be accepted by Iranians or sadly Arabs for some reason.
And I think people from other southern nations too, perhaps, like, southern, or like, I don't know, from Africa or something. I can see that.
I don't know. I don't think so. South Africans, there's a lot of South African lovers in Iran, Kenya lovers.
Among new rich people though, you're saying still, or
actually Africa is more old rich people because they travel and they're like, oh, it's so nice.
I don't know. I haven't seen those. That's kind of
I was
contact in nature. A lot of them consider
I was about to go
Africa, South Africa though. When they say like, oh, I'm going to Africa, they mean that they're just going to South Africa.
But no, because South Africa is now a bit like Kenya, and there's everybody in our sort of surrounding. They've gone there and they love it, and it's all the food was so, the people, they were so much happier even though they had so much less. It's like, oh, shut the fuck up.
Nice. That's interesting. I didn't know that. I feel like that's a bit of development. But to make a point I was gonna make, my grandma actually like doesn't come from this world whatsoever, but as a kid she just used this way to explain it. There was a kid on her street and he was like extremely white and pale. And like he did have some kind of issue. And I was a kid, like 6 or 7. So I asked my grandma, I was like, hey, why does he look like that? And she just said like, oh, he's Khareji. So he's a foreigner. And like, that was like an explanation, right? Because like foreigners are white. So that was the thing,
I don't know though. There is too many, especially
but this is a story from the 90s. This is a story from like in 96 or 97.
I know, but there's too many white Iranians.
No, for sure.
There's just too many, like, growing up. That's why I genuinely, like, until when I went to Dubai, I didn't know, like, I knew black like because of movies. I knew like I didn't know like about the difference between Jewish and whites. Really, I didn't like.
No,
You know what I mean?
fair
Because
enough.
it's just there's too many white Iranians around. I feel to
For
be
sure.
that.
Yeah.
You know,
But
I would say they
in
are more
general,
Jewish
somebody,
looking though. Yeah, they're
yeah.
more. They to be
But
fair.
this guy was
Recently,
like
I've
very
seen
like white and very like
pink. It was
pale. No,
pinkish,
he
I
was like
guess.
very he was very like pale.
The
But he
thing
had
is,
like an
that's the
ish.
thing though. Like northern Iranians are even paler than they're like
Mhm.
Russian white. You
Yeah,
know,
no, I know
they're not
that.
even pink pale. They're
Yeah.
white. So it's really weird. I don't know. It depends which
Yeah.
city I think
But
you come from.
but like in general, I understand these new developments that you're saying though. But whenever they talk about like, Kharej, which means like, foreign countries and all this,
Good foreign countries.
they
Japan is
often,
part of Khareji, for
yeah,
example.
but a lot of the
Japan, they
time it's
love Japan
referring to different European countries and like, America and
and Japan.
Canada.
They
Yeah,
love the Japanese. The love for the Japanese is a strong.
yeah. I mean, that I feel like I was born a little bit after of it, so I would hear the leftover conversations because there was a period when like Iranians would go and work in Japan, right? I think like 70s, 80s, like a lot of Iranians would go and
Yeah,
work in Japan. But by the time I was born in the 90s, my understanding was that relationship had kind of ended in that way. Like
yeah,
Iranian
but
working class people literally going there
didn't
and
go.
working. Apparently that's what would happen before.
Yeah, that used to happen, but then it has stopped. No, but the thing with Japan is like again the old Iranian rich people they loved
Mm,
Japan and Germany really even more than America. I would say America is
I
like
mean,
their best buddy,
yeah.
but Japan and Germany is the two countries they inspire to be more than anywhere
I
else,
mean,
and they
Germany are their
all of
gods.
them. Yeah, I mean, I would put Japan pretty much they talk about their organization and their culture and the fact that they're hard workers. And do you know after World War II, Japan and Germany were destroyed, but within 20 years, and it's like give us Marshall Plan, I'll
Yeah,
fucking show you a
exactly. I mean,
Japanese miracle.
no kind of understanding or like or just ignoring that on purpose. I don't know who
No,
wouldn't know
yeah,
about the
Japan had
Marshall
the
Plan.
most favored nation sort of a status and all. Yeah, exactly. They don't. Yeah, it's so annoying. But that's what I mean. It's not really about white thing to them. It's mostly about money, really, because Japan is
Yeah,
always there. You know,
sure,
Japan is a big one.
money, but like you're right though. But I mean, there are some neighboring countries and all that yeah, even the money factor wouldn't convince them, or they wouldn't like,
Yeah,
or like
Arab.
Eastern European also, even would they be like impressed by like a rich Eastern European?
Right now, because of I feel there is Russia or Eastern Europe to them is the same. So I would say right now no, because Russia is so negative in media. But if there was a different, like couple of years ago, they weren't so like there was a lot of Iranians that were, yeah, Russia is doing a lot of cool, like the professionalism and blah blah blah. So
Hmm.
I don't know. It could have gone, but no, because of the media stuff now. No, wait, no, you're right. Now Russia, Eastern Europe, Arab countries, Central Asia is hard. Central Asia is hard. But again, yeah, but it's not again, I'm just think it's overwhelmingly about money
Hmm.
and status rather than because again, like they love black Americans like more than you know what I mean? Like,
Really? That's interesting.
yeah,
Hmm.
of course.
And I haven't been there in a while, so I have to trust you. If you put me on the ground for
No,
two
I
weeks,
mean, look,
maybe I'll have some
this is all by the way by the
anecdotal. No, but
anecdotes,
within that anecdotal
parties that I
sphere.
attended. Yeah, this is not like I didn't do a fucking. We're gonna have fucking Elizabeth, whatever, from Foreign Policy write article. These people claim to so much with no research.
Now here
Neither
she'll
of
be
them is
more
a
right.
sociologist. To be honest, she would be pretty. We are making huge
Yeah,
generalization
of course.
about like, yeah, I don't know. I would say all I'm doing is just telling you about my like people in my immediate surrounding. I think now a lot of people have a good handle on what my dad thinks about a lot of things. That's pretty much the
That's
yeah.
the point we've
So
reached.
literally, I don't go out at all or anything. So I don't really. All I know is pretty much from like websites, like so. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, nice. Well, stay put where you are until tomorrow we'll record again in 20 hours.
I'll
So
have some more from online websites to tell you guys things you can Google search on your own. I'll do it for you. That's my contribution. Yeah, it's just like literally. I was just thinking last time I was at the party was like, I don't remember, but maybe 2-3 months ago. So
but what's your definition of a party though? Last week you had like a couple people over, right? That doesn't count.
I had a couple over to swim. I had a couple over to swim. Yeah, what is wrong with
I feel like you need to unpack that more. People are gonna left with a weird impression.
Well, it's summer. We swam like I have a swimming.
No, it's just that you had one couple over and they came to swim.
We swam and then we ate. What is so weird? Okay, you look. That's why I don't have people over, or I don't go over, because I fear being judged. But that was look. I meant a gathering, like you drink, and you know, that's
fair enough.
That's what is weird about in summer? That's a very normal.
No, it's it is. It's just like I don't know the way you said it and the fact that it was like one couple.
No, I was trying to say that it wasn't like a gathering. It was just different, basically.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Anything else? Should we wrap this up?
No, do you have any other attacks to make? Like this episode felt like I feel so insecure now. I'm like this. What was the other attack you did on me? I forget.
I don't know, but listen, the best form of defense is attack. So when I'm feeling cornered, just attack you, push you back.
Your hair is
strategy I've learned.
Sighted.
It's the camera angle. Okay. But all right. Okay, folks. Please leave your comments, questions, criticisms down below. We'll make sure to get to them. If not, please like and subscribe. I'll see you in our next video. Thank you.